Hi everybody. So this is just a quick little follow-up video for this Marantz 2015. And what I'm going to do is, I really don't like these flimsy speaker terminals. They're kind of awkward to use, and they break very easily. The older they get, the more brittle they get. You can see these things bend. It's pretty common on these older Marantz receivers. So I went online. I was going to make up a couple little terminal blocks and make something up, and decided I'd see if I can find someone that had already done this. And lo and behold, on eBay there is a seller who actually makes them for the 2015. Even though these are not real common, he had them. And looking at the eBay store that he had, there were 10 pages that you could scroll through of replacement terminal blocks for all kinds of different vintage receivers. So probably just about anything that you would want, he makes one for. And I'm sure if you emailed him, he probably could custom make you one. And again, this is not an advertisement. I just found these and I ordered one to see how it looks. And when I placed the order, I got an online message from him, and I'll show you his sheet here in a minute, his address. But he said, "You wouldn't happen to be X-Ray Tony B, would you?" And I said, "Well, yes, I am." So, you know, he said that he knew my channel, and he said that he was going to send me 2 sets. Because he said this one is one that really he hasn't sold many, if any, of yet. And since I do this as a hobby, he sent me a second one in case something goes wrong. And he said if it works out really well, you'll have 2 sets and you can replace both the A and B speakers. So I thought that was really nice. So even though this really isn't a paid promotion, I did get an extra one of these, and I'm thankful for that. And his eBay store, and he didn't ask me to do this, I'm just doing it, is Audio Modern. And you can see, there it is. And I'm sure everybody, you know, there's always going to be that person in the crowd, "Oh, you can make those yourself and on 3D printer and all that." Yeah, I can. But my time isn't worth that right now. And also, there's a lot of you folks who can't make these things. And for those of you who have a vintage piece of audio gear and you want something like that, I'm very appreciative that there are people out there that make these niche products, you know, like the circuit boards, you know, replacement amplifier boards for some of the vintage equipment and all this stuff. Yes, we can make a lot of things ourselves, but for those who can't and who want to maintain their equipment, it's just awesome that people have that. So I do want to support them. So this is a little bit of a promotion, but it's by my choice. So let's just put it that way. But anyhow, there it is, Audio Modern. And if you want to try them out, there you go. So we're going to put those on. And I still have to clean up these terminals here. You can see they're kind of tarnished. And I'll just clean this up, and that's it. That'll be it. So let me get this out. We'll take this thing apart, see how it works. And once it's all together, we'll take a look. Okay, so after taking the cover screws off, you need to just remove the one screw for the ground strap here, and then you can move this just enough out to get these up out of here. Now it's still going to be kind of tight, but that's how we have to do it. So I would suggest taking a picture of the orientation of these wires. The white and the green is on the top, the gray and the purple are on the bottom. And then all of the center ones, which are the grounds, are all tied together. All right, so it looks like this comes apart just with this little screw here in the middle. And there's like a captive nut in there. It's been 3D printed into there. So we'll take those out. Just like so. And then this supposedly comes apart like that. And then this is how we attach them in there. Now, I can put them in through the top, it looks like, or from the bottom, but the idea is I have to get these wires to all go through here, and you can see how tight they're going to be. So I may, these are very flimsy wires, so I may pull a new set of wires just to make it nicer. Number one, so we'll have enough wire length, although I can pull these up through here somewhat. And so I might do that. I think I will. I'm going to pull new wires. Well, to make it easier, I just removed the wires from the loom, and I removed the switches, which was just simply taking the faceplate back off and then 4 screws, and they just pull straight out as one assembly. And these wires are very, very thin, and they break very easily, and they're too short now that we've got to put these new terminals in. I mean, I guess I could put them in, but they would be like banjo strings. So I thought I would just take the extra step, pull these out. And one thing I noticed is you have 6 wires. You have the two, the right and left channel positives coming out of the amplifier modules. And then you have the right and left speaker A and right and left speaker B. So that's 6 wires altogether. And you can see these are just 1 notch higher gauge. They're not really a high gauge wire, but the insulation is a bit thick, and I don't have any with thinner insulation. And the problem we're going to run into is when you look at the diameter of these 6 wires, like this, and you look at the diameter of this, I don't know that I don't believe I'm going to be able to get these all in there, and I'm not. You can see they just won't fit. Now, this is a shielded tube. It's got this piece of spring, you can see, and these go through there. And I think the thought process was, if you look over here, these are all coaxes, and of course they're shielded, so it's not a problem. But I think they just wanted to take that extra precaution. These are very low impedance signals because it's a speaker wire. They're trying to prevent, I think, some kind of crosstalk from this. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe this is just keeping everything neat and bundled. But either way, I don't really believe this is going to cause any kind of issue whatsoever with the wires. So I'm probably not going to put this back on. I'll put some sort of sheath over this, piece of heat shrink or something to make it neat again. But unfortunately, not going to be able to use these because I don't want to use these little skinny, hair-thin wires. Even though it's only a 15-watt amp, you still, you're making a trip from the amplifier to the switch, through the switch, back to the terminal, and then out to your speaker. You're adding quite a bit of thin wire in there, so I'm thinking this will be a little better. So let me get these soldered on here where they belong, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. Got this in here, and this didn't need this, but I did it just for fun. I really don't think that this needed to be shielded, but I did that, and that also helps tie this down so it doesn't slip out and keeps it neat. So there we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, so here's our first one, and let's see if the cover snaps on now. Not sure if it will, but hopefully, if I did this right. Ooh, went right on. Nice. Okay, so let's take this one apart and do the same thing here. I kind of like this. And I do like that added touch of having those little pins in there sticking out. That really makes it a lot easier to reference the screw holes. See, they just snap right in like that. And we'll take the backer plate and put it on. And we are good to go. Actually looks pretty good. Now I'm probably putting these on upside down because if you flipped them the other way, you'd be able to see that right and left a lot better. So I think when I put this in, it's going to cover it up, and it is. Yeah, that probably would have been better. So I put these on upside down. I should have put this the other way. See that? So the sloped part goes down like that. See that? That's how you want it. But that's okay. Other than that, it kind of fits the same way either way. It's just going to be easier to read it. Of course, now this is going to bother me, so maybe I'll flip this one too. Okay, that is so much better. I'm glad I flipped it. Now you can read everything. That's my fault. I'll leave that in the video for your entertainment. Okay, as you can see, I got these put in and they look pretty good on there. They do stick out a bit, but that's just how you have to do it because that opening is so small. You know, the original terminals are so close together. So this makes it a lot more usable. This is a standard width, so you can actually use these kinds of plugs and so forth. It's very versatile. So I think that'll be good for this. What I'm doing now is, if you look at these screws, they are all very, very rusty. You can see how much rust is on them. And they're corroded. And they just, some of them were really bad. They actually kind of stripped out when I tried to take them out because of the rust. But some of them, the bottom ones especially, were just rusty but needed to be refinished. So what I did was I put an oxide coating on them, and it's very easy to do. Let me back the camera up and show you the whole setup. Okay, so I have one of these torches here. You can see how it works. Very nice. You just need any kind of a propane torch or a MAP gas torch or something, whatever it is to heat it up. You take a pair of pliers that you don't really care about if the heat treating of them gets a little wacky, which I put them away. I have a pair that I use specifically for this. These ones. And you pinch them in here. You just take the torch and you heat it up till it's just about ready to go red hot. Get it that hot, and then you drop it in a container of just plain motor oil. This is actually just plain SAE 30 motor oil. Now, I don't know that the weight of the motor oil means a whole lot, but you want natural motor oil, not synthetic. So just go to the auto parts store, basic motor oil. Once it's almost cherry red, drop it in there. It will boil a little bit and it'll make this really smelly smoke. And as you can see up here, I have my fume extractor in there, and it's a really good one. It's designed for such things. And it keeps this, it still smells a little bit, but keeps it to a bare minimum. If you don't have that, your room's going to stink for a while till it airs out. So you might want to do this outdoors. It's raining today, so I had to do it in here. So then once you do that, you let them cool in the oil, and then you can just pick them out with your pliers and then just dry them off. I'll dry one off here for you, get the oil off of it. And you can see they look like regular black oxide screws, and it didn't cost you anything but some motor oil and some time. Now when we put these on, they'll last, and they do have a little bit of corrosion resistance because of the oxide coating, and they're going to work just fine. So they look like brand new now, and they were horrible. Now, a few of them, like I said, were pretty bad. So what I ended up doing was, for the M3 screws that I had, I went with these hex head ones, and I think they just look kind of cool in there, and they match the hex head screws in here. So do I need to do that? Not really, but I did. And for the bottom ones, I did the heat treating and the oxide coating on them. So that's it, just a little tip. Hope you liked it. Okay, and our black oxide screws are now installed. So there we go, it's all cleaned up. I took some Armor All and just kind of put a little coating on this vinyl wrap cover top. And I cleaned off the back of this, and just rubbed a little bit of deoxit around all of the connectors here to clean that off. And it cleaned up pretty well. Looks good. And we have all our new hardware on there, and I think this is going to be a nice little stereo. So that's it for this one, and until next time, I wish you all peace, joy, happiness, and good health in your lives, and we'll see you all again on the next video. And I think I know what I'm going to do next on this one, so I'll leave that be a surprise to all of you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.